mean that, family. Our youths, our young ones, our children, we need them, redeem them, and clean them. You see them, or else the enemy will come and scheme them. Family. I mean that, family. Education for the nation that's full of salvation, biology, astronomy, and African theology, geography. Family. I love that, family. Whatever the age or the stage, that youth will be engaged with tutorials, activities, and videos from the studios of the Priest Isaac Institute of Holistic Knowledge. Family.
The International Homeschool Program is designed and recommended for all ages. The psychological state of our children is very important, especially in the environment that most of us live in. The International Homeschool Program provides online classes, activities, and videos that are fun for the youth and edifies them of their African heritage as well as the higher sciences. To enroll your family today, visit www.priestisaacinstitute.com, go to the main website, and search for Youth Corner. Or you can email priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com for a course sample. Give thanks.
Saturday, the 25th of May. Two faiths, two different perspectives. One origin, Ethiopia. Rasta Adonis, Rabbi, Lion of Judah Society. The faithful of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. A scholarly discourse on the subject. Who is the Lion of Judah of Revelation chapter 5? Get your tickets today. All right, royal family, blessed love. Give thanks for your presence with us. And of course, we are definitely happy to be with you at this moment. Who is the Lion of Judah? Give thanks, royal family. Welcome to another edition of the House of Priests. And of course, this is the moment where we gather together, brothers and sisters, to speak of righteousness, Rasta around table specifically. We are gathered around the table in a priestly fashion, same way, and speak of things of a Rastafari in nature. And this evening will be no different. Before we go forward, we give thanks and praise to the Most High in all doings and saying, ever living, ever faithful, Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie Jah, Rastafari. We give thanks for how good and how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters to gather together in love and unity. It's as the precious ointment that anointed the head and went down to the beard, ran down to the beard, even Aaron's beard that went down to the skirts of his garment, the skirt of his robes, even the dew of Hermon that descended upon the mountain of Zion. There, the Lord commanded and giving life and love and blessings eternally. So we give thanks to the Black Christ flesh for this moment that we can come and sup and speak of righteousness, Father and Mother of creation, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Yes, welcome, Rasta Roundtable. Honorable Ras Kwame Thomas with us, Ras Kwame Tafari. Blessed love, my Lord. Make sure your mic is on there. Make sure, all right. make sure my
Yes,
yes.
blessings, greetings to one and all. Again, greetings to the round table family, greetings to the round table viewers and listenership. Yes, blessings and one
Yes,
love.
well, for the moment, it's just myself and yourself, and I know you are moving through the earth in
Yes,
transit as such, and I know you would not be with us for the fullness this evening, but I'm just reminding the audience of Saturday evening, who is the Lion of Judah. Yourself, you have already been slated to come forward as the moderator of this, what we expect to be a very, very scholarly sit down. I'm sure you would have heard some of the discourse thus far. The Ethiopian brothers would have already laid down their point, or points. Brother Ras I Adonis would have already made his point clear as well, as far as who they see as the Lion of Judah. It is clear Ras I Adonis is clearly highlighted Haile Selassie as being the Lion of Judah of Revelation, and the Orthodox brothers are sticking to their point that it is the Iesus Christus of the Bible and nothing more and nothing less. That is the Lion of Judah. And I don't think anyone expected anything different than that. But we are now looking to see what we can learn. As we said, it's going to be a scholarly sit down. It's not designed to come off as a debate at all. So we definitely expect, that we should all leave with more knowledge and more information and more inspiration. Now, what say you, my lord? As I said, you are the moderator, so we're not here to pick side or to place bets. I mean, I think anyone they know who we are, but still in this atmosphere, in this moment, we're quite neutral, if you want to say, especially when we're addressing the subject area. So, as moderator, I don't know how you think it's looking thus far, since you would have heard the brothers already expressed themselves, and as brother Jack said previous night, he don't want to say too much more because he has some things he has in his bag that he's only going to wait until Saturday night to release them. So I don't know if you have any
yeah,
thoughts.
man, yeah, man. Well, I think that is going to be a really good reason, a good conversation and exchange of information on who, I and I see, when I say I mean who both participants see as the Lion of Judah in the scriptures, in Revelation. Um, both sides, I know, from what I've seen, the brethren from the Orthodox Church, has a very strong background and have a lot of information to bring forward to really support his points and his view as to who is the Lion of Judah. And of course, we know Rabbi Adonis is also a well-studied Rastafari, and he's also very much prepared to really bring forward his view and all of the supporting details and supporting information that really, would corroborate his position as to who the Lion of the tribe of Judah is. Yeah, man. So, I mean, I just welcome the whole family to come forward and just listen and, take notes, bring your pens and your papers, bring your notebooks and just sit back and just learn and observe and, you know, just take notes because it's going to be a really, really, really IT-full and upful conversation with these two brethren that will come forward. Yes, sir.
Rastafari. And remember, family, it is designed to be like that. It's supposed to, that's the result we expect to get. So Rasai Adonis will have 30-minute space where he will express himself. You see, the reason why we would have been having these previous interviews is so everyone can kind of get an idea of what the other person is thinking, and so that once we realize that this ain't no joke, you understand? So we ain't here to, play around as such. We're gonna get 30 minutes you have the choice to bring a PowerPoint presentation if you desire. And each individual will again take 30 minutes to present their point. Now, first of all, they will have 2 minutes at the beginning of the program to state their point. So the moral of the story, or this is the end result, to summarize even before I start. The line
Yes,
of
right.
Judah is, and they say who it is, and then they're gonna
They go into
prove
yes, sir.
within that 30 minutes what they just said in the 2 minutes they got to open up. And that's really it. And then afterwards now, each individual would have 15 minutes now to make an assessment or give their analysis of what the other brethren just said. In the debate world, you might call that a rebuttal. And then afterwards now, we're going to have a 2-minute, not question and answer, but each individual who will step up, depending on our time frame, will have 2 minutes to make their presentation. So if it's a question, a comment, you're free to make a comment. Or if it's a comment and a question, but you're going to get 2 minutes. Now, in a Q&A session, 2 minutes is a serious amount of time. So I don't think anyone would be upset if we say, okay, time up, no more. Sorry, sir, sorry. And as I said, I will be right there, although I'm not necessarily the host, but I mean, if things get out of hand, I will jump right in. So you understand.
Well,
So
I see no reason why things should get out of hand because
I could, oh, well,
as we have been promoting, I have been promoting on the round table, and of course through all of the presentation and production from the Tigers Nest and so on. We're not really trying to bring forward any kind of confusion. So I think it's more a mature kind of reasoning and conversation. It's a mature discourse, and we'll just handle it like it is, realizing that everyone have varying views about one topic, and we'll just explore the different views, and then we'll allow the viewers and of course the listeners to bring forward their own opinions, especially in the comment section. We'll be exploring the comment section to see what's going on in the comment section. But this is definitely going to be one for the ages, one for the time, because we're having two fractions within the Rastafari community. Of course, the Orthodox Church, which is the church that His Imperial Majesty have sent to the West to really stabilize and to really bring forward a sense of Ethiopianism to our people. And of course, I Rastafari as homegrown within the whole aspect of the um, Western side here. So we will see the two views, how they how they meet. I wouldn't say clash because, of course, a clash would imply, you know, yeah. But we'll see the two views. I'm just eager to hear both sides of the story, both sides of the conversation, and then we'll allow our viewers to really assess and analyze, and then give their own. Hey, this one seems more feasible to I. This one to me, I done is the Ethiopia, the brethren from Ethiopia to that church. Yeah, we see this way. So yeah, man, I hope that the viewers will just come forward and just, you know, be a whole, not a part, be a whole of this conversation, and just make it a reality, make it something for the ages that you know the future generations can have within their hands, something that they can refer to in terms of when they're looking at the knowledge of His Imperial Majesty, the knowledge of Ethiopia, the knowledge of the Bible, and so on. See?
Positive, because remember, family, you definitely will get a copy of once you are a part of it, you'll get a copy of the event. Now, Brother Kwame, I see, looks like Ras Isern is in the house as well. But because of the interest of your time too, uh, and I know your flight might just get called any moment now. So if we could, and before that, so family, for you to, of course, get your tickets, and keep in mind that proceeds from this event will be going towards the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the land specifically in Antigua, where you have the church, St. Mary's of Zion. And I would have mentioned from time to time that the brothers and sisters from that church have a GoFundMe for a very worthy cause. They would have already come on our program and have expressed from their heart why is it that they established the GoFundMe. And we, as I said, this is also a part of the assistance. So when you purchase your e-ticket, you're also assisting a worthy cause on that level. And in fact, when you purchase anything around here, you are assisting a worthy cause. That is for sure. But my Lord, just quickly again before previous program, when we were listening to Brother Yogi Raj, the thought came up that we should touch upon the relationship between India, Ethiopia, and Egypt. In fact, I must say, Rasanko Madrid was one of the main proponents of this subject area here. In fact, I was looking for him to to bat out first. But I see he hasn't come in as yet. In fact, I would have taken the time to do a quick program in the Tiger's Nest a moment ago, where I would have highlighted a few things as it relates to, well, basically it was really about Ethiopia's connection to the rest of the world. I didn't just stick on Ethiopia, India, and Egypt. I was just showing how Ethiopia's culture has been exported, has been preserved. I went into the whole aspect of Islam or the Arab world when it comes to medicine and astrology. I went into the Far East world when it comes to the martial arts and the Kung Fu, karate, yoga. And I took the time to, express many different aspects of how we would have exported our tradition, our culture, and the fact that history is extremely lengthy. I mean, hundreds of thousands of years in discussion. So it's almost like a cycle where we see our own tradition even coming back to us, But anyway, as I said, I just did a whole program on that, and I know your time is somewhat limited unless the flight gets delayed. And I don't want you to get stuck anywhere.
Okay.
So I'm going to open the floor for you because I know you have had to have had an idea of where you would be going this evening if you were stuck in the traffic, the air traffic. So what say you in the time we have as it relates to that whole trade that Yogi Raj was speaking of?
Well, in retrospect to what Yogi was saying, as we said earlier on the previous round table, that I think Iceland made a comment that it looked like Yogi was doing the thing in terms of how civilization and so on spread throughout the world. He was doing it backward as far as coming from India to Ethiopia, and from Ethiopia to Egypt, being that Egypt was always considered the daughter of Ethiopia, the daughter of Ethiopia. But what I'm trying to say now, looking at a very old researcher, I know Dungy, Drusilla Dungy Houston.
Definitely.
I'm not sure if today, if her research would stand up to the
That's
to the whole
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm talking about a wonderful Ethiopian of the ancient Kushite Empire, Houston. I'm not sure if her research would stand up to scrutiny today, but some of her major points that she would have expounded on in that book would show that even the the India geography that is known today would be considered Ethiopia as in the past in ancient time. As a matter of fact, she would lead us to think that Ethiopia or the Kushite Empire stretched throughout three continents, the Eurasia continent, of course, African continent, and even onto our part of the world, the Americas, all the way down to Mexico and so on, where remnants of great edifices were built, and having these statues and edifices look like our people. So it's just a matter of interpretation and how we see, interpret what Ethiopia is today and what it was yesterday. But we know that as far as the motherland, the continent go, there's a lot of uh, archaeology that suggests that most of the earliest innovations in technology and so on came from off of the continent. For example, you'll have the whole idea of innovation of cotton and cotton spawning and so on. And, some archaeologists resolve that this came from Africa, as a matter of fact, from within the Sudan area, even thousands of years and so on before it really reached to India and other parts of the world. And, you will find that there was a lot of firsts as far as Africa is concerned. And if there's a lot of firsts and we have like millennia separating the first from the second and Africa is the first, that really tells a different story also, that the continental Africans were pioneers in civilization, were pioneers in technology and innovation and so on. So yeah. So that would be, my take on it to know and so on.
Rastafari, give thanks.
Yes, sir.
Ras Anko Madrid. Yes, my lord. Sorry to disturb you sleeping there on my. I was looking for you to back out first, I must say. I said, even today I said, yeah, the king coming well correct with this one here.
What happened
Yes,
is,
I said,
I end up get a little bit tied up, so pardon my late appearance still,
True. And I respect the Rasta, sir, and I see him in the ground. Let me see if he's still there. Yes, Rasta, sir, blessed Lord too. Thanks for coming in. Yes, Uncle Majed, what do you have on the table for us? I don't know if you saw the presentation earlier, but
at the start of this program here.
No, the one I did earlier for the Tigers Nest, I was sending the link. Somewhat to prep this program here.
Yes, I didn't get to see it, but I saw that I saw the preview when they sent it was counting down. I didn't get to synchronize it.
No problem. You're good, man. You good. Tell us
man.
Good.
Well, bless up, Rastafari. If you want to ask me back a question, I could
Oh, well, no, the thing is now, remember the previous program, we were talking about the Silk Road from India to Ethiopia to Egypt during the time of the Queen of Sheba that Mr. Yogi Raj was talking about. So from that little thing he was saying, we decided that, okay, well, this time around, we're going to discuss that. And I was saying that, that can be very layered, especially when you take into consideration history. So again, that is why I say, well, ones and ones definitely gonna go home and come back ready for this one here. So that's why I took the chance to do a quick thing. So when I come here now, I don't have to be saying too much on the subject area, because at least some of the audience, I mean, it's still a different audience because people watching this that didn't see what I just did. But still, I know a good piece of the audience would have just seen my presentation and will see that some other time. So I can give the rest brethren enough time them now to free up themselves on this, what I consider extensive subject.
Yeah, man.
That's why I have a flight to make. That's why I was kind of running through every little thing quickly.
Yeah,
But if
man.
you want me go over my presentation in a moment, I can do it again.
Well,
So
I would love that because unfortunately I miss it. You know, what I mean, I want to be holding back the panel if it is, you know, what I mean, the discussion moving forward without. But
well, as I said, Ras Isern, I don't know if Ras Isern was watching either because I sent out the link to the full, and I haven't seen Ras Cyber Selassie as yet. Made him had a good reasoning yesterday with some brethren. But no, basically, and this not gonna take no long time, man. Basically, what it is, I was highlighting, I think, and I hope Rasquamai still there. I don't hope your flight get delayed, but I still hope he's still there. I think where I started was, first of all, what I did, I kind of used bits and pieces of some recent presentations that I did. And I really began the conversation even highlighting one of the famous Venuses that they would have found. As most ones would know, they have found several figurines in different parts of Europe, which have been dated. I didn't find them and I didn't date them. I'm just telling you what, the contemporary understanding is. These figurines are dated some 12, some 25, some 30,000 years old. This is the Venus of Willendorf, and this is said to have been dated to be some 30,000 years old. Now, why I'm highlighting this and the other Venuses is because although they were found in Europe, in Italy, in Austria, in Germany, and in Russia, etc. Yet still it's obvious that we're looking at figurines, number one, highlighting the woman, the motherhood of the woman, and at the same time, you can see for sure just the whole appearance is that of the mother African. And I would go as far as to say, even down to the hair, you can see the knots. That is why we were portraying the similarity with the hair of the Buddha, which carries us straight away to India. Now, if you notice, the statuette that we were just highlighting is in Europe, and we're talking thousands of years, tens of thousands of years ago. Now, again, we have ones like I just featured a lecture from Brother Ayashaka Musa Barashango, where he was speaking of the Grimaldi man of Africa, just about a week or so ago. He was speaking of the Grimaldi man of Africa, and they would have found relics of a great empire that they would have established in Europe. Not the Moors, we're talking of at least 40,000 years ago. The same Grimaldi man that, according to anthropology, would have met the Ice Age, the Womb Glacier, and the Cro-Magnon man, which is a few steps before modern-day European man would have come out. So, and this is serious. So that is showing, when we, like the figurine I just showed of a African woman, motherhood, and you could see even within the hair, that is to show, again, the beginning of what we would consider exporting of the African culture. That was really the main point there. So I was showing in other ways. I can go over this here. Well, no, let me touch this. It shows the similarity. This is, of course, from one of Giap's work. And of course, the original painting comes from the tomb of Ramesses III, where it highlights the Egyptian and the Nubian basically as being the same, of the same ethnicity, really, ain't too much different at all. Even the clothes is the same. Now, the reason why I did all of that is to show oneness, obviously. I highlighted the science of Imhotep, exporting again. Imhotep is known to be the architect of the great step pyramid, but yet still we see similar step pyramids, different parts of the world, as Brother Rasquamai was just highlighting how the Ethiopian empire would have spread. Imhotep is also considered the father of medicine. I would have highlighted earlier that the same, the same surgery or practices that you see in ancient Kemet, like that of the removing of the cataract. Many ones credit the Islamic world in Baghdad in their time, in their golden age, for for in a sense, innovating that. But what they really did was to preserve that. That is proven. They would have translated other manuscripts and would have preserved it. In fact, the Greeks would have come after and translated their manuscripts to get a lot of their medical understanding. So again, just pointing out how we would have exported our knowledge throughout the world. I highlighted the Song Temple in China. You know, I think we all know that not karate, but the other thing, Kung Fu, was taken to China by a black man from India, interestingly, which again, this is why the importance of understanding the time. We could be talking about history 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, 30,000 years ago. So this is why we can see that whole cycle. You know, we can talk about if that is so. That's why I never denied it, you know. India sending some sort of spiritual value to Ethiopia. Because again, many of our agency has been preserved because we would have exported it. I read something earlier, I won't go into it now. I was highlighting some of the different kings of India and the Nega people. And what's his name there? Marco Polo was saying that when he went to India, the blackest of men there were the highest of esteem. And according to Marco Polo, God was seen as black and the devil as white. That was a quote I quoted earlier from Marco Polo, and that is in India. And the report was highlighting that the Nega people now were the people that created the Sanskrit. And the Nega people, obviously, you could see Nega, Negas. I was highlighting earlier that in the Caribbean, we use the term Nega, a lot Nega people, pick a Nega, and these different things. So, and the Negas, the king, and the Negas, the Nega Juna, which is the Buddha, again, showing you the oneness of the people, India being Eastern Ethiopia. I highlighted the presence of the Magi warriors that can be seen in the Chinese dynastic periods, the Shen dynastic period, even in old Greece, London, or Britain, I should say. You know, I can't off my head. I think it's Charles, one of them, Charles first or second. He was well known for having the Black Battalion. It's the same Magi people, you know, from ancient Nubia. So the whole aspect of exporting sometimes is a case of us ruling too. Because again, when we speak of, oh, this is beautiful, I had to highlight this to you. I think this one is the Stella of Selous, but you have the Stella of Tahaka. And to me, even the whole concept of the Queen of Sheba, you could see it right here, because you see, there are 4 of these stellas that they found. And each stela had a what is referred to as a wife of Amun. Now, the wife of Amun is seen in Kemet and in Nubia. And the wife of Amun is very similar to the Kandake, which is the Makeda. We know that Makeda, the Queen of Sheba, Makeda, the name Makeda is actually Kandake. And so when you understand just the Kandake science, the Kandake of Kush is the same wife of Amun of ancient Kemet. And the wife of Amun, or the Kandake, would stand before Amun-Ra and petition to Amun-Ra. See, all I'm writing here is her asking Amun-Ra for permission for her son to sit upon his throne. And that's an ancient culture where the Kandake or the Makeda, listen to me good enough, where the Kandake or the Makeda ask Ra-Amun, which to me is Sol-Amun, because Ra is the sun and the sun is Sol. Sol-Amun is Ra-Amun, where the Kandake or the Makeda asked the Ra-Amun for permission for her son to sit on the throne, you know. And that is why a lot of what we get, even if the story says he gave a food that's spicy and he put a cup of water on the table, a lot of that is just, you know, the story form of a deeper science that we are well accustomed to. So even when she was mentioned in you know, the trade from this on the Silk Road, all of these things came to mind. And then again, you know, just understanding the dimensions of Kush is very important. This is why time frame, there's a time, Brother Anko Madrid, me and you did a whole program on this, so you well understand. There's a time when we speak of the kingdom of Aksum, you know, just like we know where Aksum is today, but that's not where Aksum was yesterday. You understand? And when we say Kush, it's not just a simple thing to say Kush. You have the Kush of the time when Kerma ruled Kush, Napata ruled Kush, Merowe ruled Kush. When you have the 25th dynastic period, Kush was all the way up going into the Mediterranean Sea because it expanded. So sometimes we just talk, you know, and say, oh, Ethiopia is the daughter of, and Egypt is the daughter of this and that and all of that. It's easy to just repeat these things, but we have to make sure we have these things in this right context. I kind of rushed that off, but I'll leave it at that. That's the fact.
Rastafari.
You know.
Yes, well, from the last conversation we was having, I did bring up the talk about the gymnosophists now. You understand? Now the gymnosophists, there was a sect of Hindus that used to be a vegetarian philosophy, and they do rate like materialism and thing. They used to actually go naked or with hardly any clothes on. You understand? But these people now they recorded coming to when Alexander did go over to the Indus Valley, he come across the gymnosophists, right? And then like he wanted to put them to death now. You understand? But he say now that he gonna ask them a series of questions. There are 10 of them, and he asked them a series of questions. But the way that they answered, it come like they were so profound at the end of it, and apart to just cut them out of them go now, you know what I mean? But yeah, the same they have records of gymnosophists in Upper Egypt as well. You understand? Where they come to I believe it's a man named Apollonius. I go have to check it you understand what I'm saying? But I find it's a very interesting kind of background identity, because they related to Christian, esoteric Christian sects now. You understand? SECTS. No. You understand? Yeah. And what happened is now Rastafari in this modern dispensation, I suppose many people just consider Rastafari as a sub-denomination of a wider Judeo-Christian religion or cultural sphere. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so especially I would say the House of 12 tribe and ones who affinity is to the Ethiopian Orthodox tradition, you know what I mean? They consider themselves like Christian or whatever it is. But yes, not for the little like vegetarianism and basically because like Rasta in the modern time, you might Rasta go say idol, but you mightn't walk around naked. But we come like you ain't go much upon the Gucci and the Prada and the brand name things and whatever it is, you know what I mean? So I see plenty of influence from them kind of philosophies there, you know what I'm saying? Within the whole connection.
Oh, that's fine, man. Still there, man. Give thanks. I did see the message you're moving in 5, so there's guidance, you know, and the winds of the wind. All right. Yes, my Lord. Blessed. Yes, King. So I was saying, yes, Rasta, sir. Blessed Lord. King,
Yeah, where I Sunday.
you right here, man. I just
Mm.
maybe make a move. Rasta is on. Your mic muted if you're trying to if you're saying something. Okay, now see, he's here. I mean, you don't know he's here. All right, fair enough. I seen it. But yeah, what I was highlighting though, let me see until he come in. Again, so yeah, what you just put down there is interesting. So what was the name of the group again? So they're in India
All right.
and in Egypt. You can give me just a date time, just a date, just let me see.
A date where you could look for is like around the 1st century. Or you could say the 3rd century BC is when Alexander and them encounter these people or whatever it is, you know. Yeah, is when because Alexander had a kingdom, he went up to the Indus Valley and was down into Egypt and them kind of place there too. So they come like he had a vast empire stretching across that whole area there, you know. But
And these people, so they were in both places at the same time.
well, from the impression I get from the things what I've read and thing, it come like if there was travelers or mystic travelers, they used to come across now. So remember now, in the geography of the whole thing, it had the Middle East, right? And then they have Arabia below the Middle East. And then to the east of that, to the right of that is Iran. Iran a big place. Then when you you go to the east further, Iran is basically like you want to bucket up Pakistan and then India. So it come like all them places contiguous in the whole scene. So in trade and migration patterns and thing, all them set of people they would have been in our one Callaloo mixing up and things like that, you know. Now the word gymnosophist is a come like a compound of two words. Gym meaning the same gym where you go and exercise in. You understand?
Okay.
Yeah, but gym really mean naked. You understand? Gym no mean naked. So it come like that why you go find people putting on tight clothes and thing in the gym or they know that and thing.
Wow.
You understand? So and then sophist now it come like Sophia wisdom. You know that term in the Greek thing now. So it really means so gymnosophists just mean naked philosophers, basically, in the translation, you know. Yeah.
That's deep, man. And so around the 3rd century BC in parts of India and in parts of Egypt.
Yes. In part, well, there's a different man. Is that we could pull this up fast, you know, if you could share this good thing out.
See the coming to you now. Yes, family, give thanks. And of course, while I look to give the king the share, just reminding everyone to make sure how I did it again. Yeah. Make sure that you get your link for Saturday evening. You understand? Make sure you come in and support. Yes, my lord, you have it. Get your link for Saturday evening, family. Website priestisaacinstitute.com, or you can email us at priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com. It definitely promises to be a wonderful sit down. Of course, I know King Uncle Majed will be in the house.
No, man. Yes, sir.
King, don't know some people very fiery against the Wikipedia thing. I don't know what's wrong with them, but let's put in you another.
Nah, well, that's small thing we could.
It's small thing, man. It's small thing for you. Okay.
All right, so we have the Wikipedia article about the gymnosophist, right? Sophistai, that is naked philosophers or naked wise men, right? From the Greek gymnos, naked, and Sophia, wisdom, is the name given by the Greeks to certain ancient Indian philosophers who pursued asceticism to the point of regarding food and clothing as detrimental to purity of thought. They were noted to have been vegetarian by several Greek authors. There were also gymnosophists in Upper Egypt who were called Ethiopian gymnosophists by Apollonius of Tyana. You know what I'm saying? So I don't, I just function. I will open that one time and go check that out differently. In Greek literature, they are mentioned in association with the Persian Magi, right?
I think you more than anyone knows that Ethiopia is a term that you could say was loosely used. So yeah, especially when we read in history, so we have to be careful. Because I see it there, as they say in Egypt, they were called the Ethiopian gymnosis. Anybody that was black.
Yeah.
Yes. But pardon me for disturbing you. Go through.
No big this too. A good observation you're making there. Yeah, so but when they say remember we have to keep in mind that when they say Upper Egypt, they really mean southern Egypt. Right? That's a reversal there. So when they say Lower Egypt, you mean northern towards the Mediterranean Sea and the Delta and thing. And Upper Egypt is southern according to the normal thing. Yeah, so in Greek literature, they are mentioned in association with the Persian Magi, the Chaldeans of Assyria or the Babylonians, the Druids of Celts, and the priests of Egypt. Right? Some sources claim figures such as Lycurgus, Pythagoras, and Democritus may have met them. Right? They are mentioned by authors such as Philo, Lucian, Clement of Alexandria, Philostratus, and Heliodorus of Emesa. These reports are thought to have served as models to cynics, as well as Christian ascetics. Many authors have discussed the purported question by Alexander the Great and answers by the gymnosophists. That what I was describing to you before.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, so we could have look into this. All right, look. Quickly, I'd like to read these questions what Alexander posed to them. Right? He said the term gymnosophist was used by Plutarch in the 1st century Common Era when describing an encounter by Alexander the Great with 10 gymnosophists near the banks of the Indus River in what is now Pakistan. He, Alexander, captured 10 of the gymnosophists who had done the most to get Sabas to revolt and had made the most trouble for the Macedonians. These philosophers were reputed to be clever and concise in answering questions, and Alexander therefore put difficult questions to them, declaring that he would put to death he who first made an incorrect answer, and then the rest, in an order determined in like manner. And he commanded one of them, the oldest, to be the judge of the contest. The first one accordingly being asked which, in his opinion, were more numerous, the living or the dead, said that the living were, since the dead no longer existed. The second being asked whether the earth or the sea produced larger animals, said the earth did, since the sea was but a part of the earth.
I hear you.
The third being asked what animals was most cunning, said that which up to this time man has not discovered. Fourth, when asked why he had induced Sabas to revolt, replied, because I wished him either to die nobly or live. The fifth being asked, in his opinion, was older, day or night, replied, day by one day. And he added upon the king's expressing dissatisfaction that unusual questions must have unusual answers. Passing on then to the sixth, Alexander asked how a man could be most loved. If, said the philosopher, he is most powerful and yet does not inspire fear. Of the three remaining, he who was asked how one might become a god instead of man, replied by doing something which a man cannot do. The one who was asked which was the stronger, life or death, answered life, since it supports so many ills. And the last asked how long it were well for a man to live. The last asked how long it were well for a man to live, answered, until he does not regard death as better than life. I was wondering if they mix up that if you mean to say regard life as better than
Better
death.
than death. Yeah, I was actually thinking, wait, catch me this.
I ain't sure if that if it's some kind of higher height, so I understand. So
Yes.
then, turning to the judge, Alexander bade him give his opinion. The judge declared that they had answered one worse than another. Well then, said Alexander, thou shalt die first for giving such a verdict. That cannot be, O king, said the judge, unless thou falsely said that thou would put to death first him who answered worst. You understand? These philosophers then he dismissed with gifts and he lead them to go their way now.
Gifts,
Yeah.
eh?
Yeah, you get
Get put
them.
to death.
Yeah. So that was the thing with the gymnosophists and them. But I think we have to, well, I personally didn't get the chance to, but I want to investigate the connection with the so-called Ethiopian gymnosophists. You understand? Because
No, I mean, give thanks to that, man. That's some serious. So even when you said they disregard food, I was thinking of breatharians as well.
breatharians, right?
Breatharians, yeah. I don't know if you ever come across them.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised they would have practiced that too.
Well, I'm not sure. Well, obviously, you know, come like I a cynic or a skeptic or something. So I have serious questions about if they really just breathe in air and you know what I'm saying, you know. But because
Well, the breatharians I studied, they do eat, I guess what they were saying, um, that they're gone on the next level, because they have some people out there that are not necessarily breatharians, but according to them, they haven't eaten anything for a while. I'm sure you saw the video with the Ethiopian woman.
no, I ain't see that one. I ain't see that one. You show that one on the I channel.
No, I don't know. Some of them roaming YouTubers that run all over the world filming
Right.
this and that. One of them went to Ethiopia. I know the people them that watching this, some of them see this woman in Ethiopia that haven't eaten for about 16 years. Yeah,
I think I saw somebody put up that, you know, I think I saw that for real.
yeah,
But
man. And
even right here in Trinidad, it had a man named Dr. Kubler Singh. So he went on a fast for about
of
100
course,
and something days or something like that. And
I hear about that man. Yes, definitely. And
so,
well, but that's 100 and something days.
yeah, that's a lot of time still to know.
Because what I was saying, the breatharians now, there's a few people that I know, not know personally, that I would have researched, and they would say that they would sip water, I guess, like maybe once every 3 months, some sort of thing, or some of them would drink a hot soup every full moon, some different vibes. So it's not as if they just breathe in to live alone. I don't know how possible that is. I know we have a digestive system. I'm just looking at it on that level. And I know for sure the environment that we live in, just breathing alone can kill you. So I also, consider the environment you have to be in to literally live off of the breath, really. But the information that they are giving, man, because as they're going through that, it had me thinking of different aspects of even our African tradition. I was listening to KRS-One the other day, and he was saying something, enough respect to Chris One, KRS-One.
Mhm.
But he was saying something there. So he was saying that when you wear clothes, you are defending white supremacy. I said,
And that
okay.
way,
Of course, without even hearing the rest of it, I understand where he's coming from. Nobody born with clothes. I totally can get that. And obviously you're connected, but I just wasn't in the realms to say because you are not naked. He was pushing that if you're not fighting Babylon, white supremacy, he said, naked, well then you are still defending white supremacy because it's white supremacy that taught us to wear clothes, which I disagreed with that as well. I'm one of those that are of the opinion that, you see, the history that we get of the Europeans coming to Africa to kidnap Africans, coming in their big ships, and they're well clothed and they have on these boats and whatever their garments would have been. We were the ones that taught them how to attire themselves. Remember, is when we left them, they went looking for help. From the time we left Spain in 1492 on the 2nd of January, same time Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. And what they would have received from us since 711 is the civilization that they appear to have, to the rest of the world during their Renaissance. That's it. So I understand what KRS-One was saying. I really do. But I wouldn't really lean on that philosophy too heavy, My philosophy, that's one of his albums.
Definitely. Well, you see, yeah, it come like it's on a common sense level, right? If you're up in the cool, up in Europe or wherever it is, you're probably gonna try to get some kind of fur or something to put on because it's survival or something, and then similarly you might be in Africa and it's sweltering heat and you might end up either put on some thinner clothes or go without clothes or something because it's just natural. You understand? Like and what happen now, they might have no kind of, they might not be ashamed of certain forms of nakedness. So it's like how it might have some woman go without no top on and thing, however it is normal. But nobody, due to the society that they in and the context of it, they come like nobody in watching it as no vulgarity or
exactly
nakedness per se like that, And so I don't know if it's probably from that kind of angle KRS was trying to build that point also,
Yeah,
but
no, that's a key thing, because no matter how you observe anciency, like I was just showing a statue there a moment ago with the Venus, and I can show you many statues and glyphs and all sorts of things where the woman is expressing her nakedness, and neither me, you, or anyone else would be enticed in any way then, because of the energy and the mind frame that's behind of it. Do you know that you'll be watching a cartoon, and I'm serious, the designer of the cartoon will have fellas lusting off of a drawing, if you understand what I'm saying, of a bunny rabbit. But the way that they shape the bunny rabbit, the way that they dress the bunny rabbit, not even a real rabbit, a cartoon, pen and ink and paper, etc. That we have today, so that's very important. So you may be talking about the naked people there, the gymnosophia and Sophia, gymnosophia. And of course, people are not accustomed to that will say, wow, these people are primitive, but primitive mean the first people. Primitive mean those who came first.
Well, and it kind of just like the early Rasta and early Rasta in Jamaica and thing. Enough man used to be in the bush with hardly clothes on and thing. Like I show everybody with a CD. Remember the movie, the Harper Countryman?
Yes, Countryman.
And Countryman running from miles and thing, you know what I mean? And in either shorts or whatever it is. So it come like it just boiling down to the rudimentaries and come like, yeah, like getting away from materialism and certain technologies and modernities and thing to kind of build a certain form of, what you would call that, and it's basically in the philosophy.
Connection to nature.
Yes, like a kind of rudimentary connection to nature and getting back to oneself in the most, as you would say, primitive essence then, Yeah. And one thing, like you see, they also say those people related to the Magi and the Chaldeans and thing, and when in the tradition they say the three wise men who come to visit Christ on the earth strong. You understand? They say there's the Magi, but in Ethiopian tradition, it also they say that one of the people was an Ethiopian in Bazan. You understand? Who come to give gifts and things like that. So it was the wise men and certain things. So you know what I mean? Enough little vibes within.
Even with since we are still on the Indian tradition there of Ethiopia, that again, even when you study history, like yes, they have a list of noblemen and even kings that are seen as Black or African that would have ruled over India as we know India today. But then when you observe it, this happens, you know, via different means then. So for example, Ethiopia would have had some dominion over India. That's one at that time. But then there's another time, for example, there's a story, I can't remember the name of the individual, but there's a story within history of an Ethiopian that was sold as a slave to India. And oh, my young princess could tell me the name now, but she, well, you know, because she did a whole program on that on Youth University. And the slave would have become a king in India. So I'm just showing you, I'm actually going in the chat to see if she put it in there. So I'm just showing you that there are different ways where you see Ethiopians taking a high position in India. Now, I'm saying all of that to show, you know, how much trade and commerce could create a culture and a culture and a biculture. For example, right now there's a rising group in Africa, East Africa, who do not want to call the language Kiswahili. They're saying they need to start to refer to it as Kibantu, because Ki means the language of. And Swahili, as you would understand now, the Swahili coast became known as the Swahili coast because of some serious trade back and forth, to the point that even that trade with the Arab slave trade too, you had genuine trading with Black people of the so-called Swahili coast, Mozambique and that area. And then you had the deadly trade in slaves as well. Of course, you know, when the Arabs come into that, they like to castrate Black people. So there's this move wherein now the Swahili language, many ones are saying that it was brought to Africa. But those who are saying we should call it Kibantu are saying that it's a Bantu language that has a few elements of the Arabic language within it. And trust me, and there's a move to reform Kiswahili and take out the Arabic aspect of it. But the debate is strong, because there are those that are saying Arabic itself is an African language, but it just got carried away, let's just say, to somewhere else. So herein you can see the whole aspect of trade. All of this is trade, you know, trading language. So when you trade in a language, you are trading in a culture. The trade of the ethnicity, for sure. That is why you could look at the people of even the Far East, not the Far East, but Yemen and these places. Yemen is known to be one of Ethiopia's grounds in the ancient time. That's why the people in Yemen hold strong to the Queen of Sheba. You know, in fact, many say that the Queen of Sheba would have ruled from Yemen. So even within these different stories, you have history again. But again, as I'm even showing to the audience, you'd have to know where to put the history in perspective, because if we just take history the way it's brought to us, or the 25th dynasty of Egypt was a Black dynasty. So then all of a sudden, you're going to think that the rest dynastic period was somebody else. The 25th dynastic period, yes, it is the Kushite dynastic period. But the Kushite dynastic period, as I showed earlier, the people of Kush and the people of Kemet were the same people. And then now, again, where it's important that we have these scholarly discussions, especially as us as Rastafari, because as Rasta, we quick to just, again, Egypt is the first daughter of Ethiopia. So we need to forget Egypt and just look and see what Ethiopia doing. No, no, no. The Egypt that you're talking about, that's the first daughter of Ethiopia. You understand? That Ethiopia is not necessarily the Ethiopia you're trying to highlight now. Because we would say Axum, we would mix up Axum and Kush. But according to the history, Meroe, the capital of Kush, came to its demise at the hand of the Axumites.
Yeah, we went over some information with that, because some of the primary inscriptions, there's really kind of give an impression that King Izana was putting down a rebellion by a certain people called Ikasu, who was given trouble in that region at the point in time. You know what I mean? So, and when you really check the real chronology of events, those areas formerly part of Nubia, it ended up with 3 kingdoms down there. One named Nobatia, next one named Makuria, and the next one named Alodiana. And the 3 of them was Christian kingdoms until about 580 something. So they end up exist about 200 and something years from 350, when King Izana, they say, took over Meru, but it's not like he was on a campaign to Christianize the people or anything like that. They became Christianized, in 581. Because the things is we inside the historical period, so they actually know who is the evangelist that went out and who to convert the king and them kind of place there, them thing, But when we go and check the artifacts of these people and thing, is a whole heap of Egyptian imperial symbolism and thing upon the crowns and the burial traditions and all them kind of things, Earlier you make a point talking about Kiswahili and Kibantu and these things. Now, I just do some thinking into, okay, well, if we want to have a Pan-African language now, people will be tugging in different directions. You understand? So basically, as Pan-Africans, it come like we're supposed to reclaim some African language where we could agree then where all African people could learn this language and we could be communicating across borders, no matter who the colonial power was, if they was England, France, or Spain, or Dutch, or wherever it was. You know what I'm saying? Now, enough people there's make a case that the Medu nature, we're supposed to learn the Medu nature and revive it and thing, and basically breathe life into the language again, or whatever, right? And then the majority of people in the Pan-African movement might be more leaning towards Swahili because they're saying the majority of people, many people on the African continent, they speak that language, you know what I'm saying? But then the little issues is coming because they say the Swahili have many loan words from the Arabic, because they say the language developed, as they say, as a trading language, where goods and things was passing and whatnot and things. So it come like it have a backbone of Bantu, and it have a superficial layering of the Arabic on top of it, or whatever it is, And then third, well, to me come like the third option. It had 2 scripts what develop in Africa indigenously, right? In ancient time. That is the Medu nature and the Giz script. You understand? All of the language, even Kiswahili and them thing there, they write in it, if you could imagine, in the Latin script, right? Yeah, so even on them kind of levels, we're gonna have to look to allow the Latin script in the future then, and use either if it is we're gonna use the Giz script, Ethiopic or Medu Nature to write what we want to say and do them kind of work, something that. Because even just talking and writing in Latin script, it come like you're promulgating their legacy and their worldview and thing further. You understand? Yeah, so
I don't know if Benet look a little too heavy. Yes, Rasquama, you still with us there, man? In the middle of the year. I tried their third.
Yeah, man, still here.
True, my lord. Anything to put in? I know we're gonna look to see you soon.
Yeah, well, just to touch on what the man gonna say earlier on concerning the loose use of the term Ethiopia. As I say, Nubia, Kush, and Egypt, the people were one and the same. We'll take it a little bit further according to Houston and Dungy. Like I said before, with her research, I'm not sure how firm that will stand up to modern day scrutiny, but at the end of the day, a foundational argument in the sense that even India and a lot of the Eurasian territorial geography, including some of the New World, the Americas, all the way down to Mexico and so on, were considered Ethiopians. And I suspect that would have come from the Greeks who had that cultural and not only cultural but just by your look, your texture, that kind of interpretation they have the people who respond to civilization and innovation and so on. So definitely, but what I would like to repeat again, what I see was unique about the African continent per se, as far as the innovation and so on. They first a lot of different territories in terms of the civilization. So that would just be what I might have what I might would have to say. Even including the language. Last week I hear the Bongo and Kumaja talk about some of the languages and then that probably were intermingled, the Ethiopian language with the Indian language and so on, maybe the alphabet system, the kind of cross. But this ain't really telling. He tell a lot of story. He tell a lot of. He paint a picture that the people that really laid these foundations were one and the same people, and eventually they probably just go into their own unique culture, in isolation after years. You see? So that's why I would have to say.
All right, give thanks. Give thanks, yeah. Ras Isa, and you there? Because I have him here. Rastafari. Ras Isa?
Live.
Live, man. Oh, you're on the move too. Maybe that's
Yes, I.
Well,
No, I'm actually parked up
okay, true.
and
Man.
just been listening all along.
Okay, true. Well, say something, so much.
Yeah, very interesting. One thing I wanted was to try in here, because me and Farmer, I think just yesterday evening, we have a conversation along these lines as we're talking about trades and commerce in ancient time. Because certain questions start coming to my mind as it relates to that. Because what I'm seeing is that more and more, when you look at ancient history, it seemed to reflect, it seemed to carry a lot of modern elements to it in terms of just the outlook and thinking. Okay, let's look at trading, right? Now, what we understand from modern time about trade is that what the system of trade that we have established now is one that have a central value system, right? In terms of what kind of exchange you use. So let's, for example, all the people that involved with trade, they basically agree, for example, that the currency of trade is the US currency. That's standard. So if I am trading with you, you halfway across the road, you send something to me, right? And I do not honor it by paying. They have to have some kind of system in place that can flag me for that dishonor. So the question was coming to my mind, what was the system back then? What common currency of trade or value system they had that all of the different nations that were involved with trade would have been subscribing to as a standard, like now, like how we're doing trade now. Because when you read,
sorry.
huh?
I was just coming quickly to say, I believe it depends on the time. Silk
Well,
Road,
of course.
Gold Road, Ivory Road. Yeah.
Of course, because I've heard, for example, that salt used to be used in Mali and them place as a currency of trade and not gold and these kind of things. You understand? So it would seem that different settlements, different group of people in different parts of the world that start farming society and start having trading, in barter and so on, they would have their own standard currency medium for doing trade. You understand? That you can have equity going right across the board. But the idea now of nation to nation, spices and different stuff like that trading from up in India, of course coming down in large amount into Ethiopia, different places in Africa, in Europe. You understand? When you start hear things like that, then you have to ask question, okay, the people who are trading spice coming out of India, what was the medium of exchange that they were using to settle payment? What was Ethiopia paying them in? Or any other nation, a European nation for that matter? What currency, what common currency of trade was being used back then? Because the language and everything and the expression that come out when you read these stories of trade between nations, it sounds very reflective of what we know trade to be now. Mass movements of goods and things of that kind. It sounds like this is what they are reflecting in the written history. But for you to have that scale of trade going on with nations, nation to nation, not a conclave of people in a certain geographic area that might be familiar with a certain medium of exchange or a certain value system. But you're talking about people who are worlds apart. People doesn't even know one another territory as well as we can know what goes on in different countries now. So it begs a curious question as to what was the common medium of trade, the common value system that they were using back then? Because my mind is going in the direction of anachronism at work here again. Because it sounds too much. It sounds too much like the modern setting and activity of trade.
Like I said, let's get what the ISA and so on, right? As far as I think you're taking it back to maybe day one, and but what I see, right? Okay, let's remove ourselves from trading, right? And look at knowledge and look at how the ancients were so far ahead in knowledge. Look at the 42 negative confessions on Egypt, and think about where Egypt got those ideas from, those high values and ideas, and think about the thousands and thousands of years that it took a place like Egypt to develop them ideas from. And then I would think that we would not underestimate the intelligence of the people of the ancients to have a sophisticated economy whereby they could, reach different places and so on with trade, with different goods and services, exchanging goods and services from one place to another. You know what I mean? That is just how I would look at it. I understand what the IS say as far as, maybe way back when, it can give one impression that maybe because it's so ancient that people didn't have connection one to another across geographic line, if there were such a thing called geographic line. But
No, but think about it.
Ideas.
Bring it close to our time.
Develop and so on. What is traveling? What is understanding the geography? What is understanding, neighbors and so on? I think that's just one little thing to the ancient. So stuff like what sophisticated level of trade and the economy that then developed based on trade and the medium of exchange based on the value of products and so on. I think these guys would have had how thing on that, man.
I mean, it's cool to have that thought. But while we're having these stories that we're telling about the big trade activities and so on going on, we have to be able to answer this question as to what was the common medium that they used to value the things that they are trading, how they settle payments and these kind of things during those days. Now, to say that they would have had the intelligence is one thing, but to speak to what the medium is another thing, because when you bring it close to home to our time, we know just the other day in places like America, when they introduce medium of exchange and so on, they have all kind of issue before they settle and what they will use as a common currency for trade, what common value. They go through all kind of scene, in our recent history just here. We go through all kind of thing until we figure that out and establish one currency of trade in the US dollar and so on, and you have, you know what I mean, commerce and so start kicking over when you have these system in place, a common value system. To me, the concept of international trading and moving massive amount of goods may not even be such an ancient idea. Because with nations, as far back as you will go, you're going to find more and more nations isolated. People don't know of one another, like how we know of one another all up and down the globe right now. People didn't have that awareness about other places. So trading and barter, any exchange like that would have happened in locals, in certain geographical area. But to have that four corners of the globe, a kind of way, that's a different story. That's a different concept altogether. And
Well,
to me, the international trade and so on, if you think about it, it was largely driven and accelerated by the whole slave trade activity. If ones have, other information, bring it to the fore, we're not lean from one side here.
well,
But we're going to think.
I would say that the money invented a little while now, because like let me say the Roman Empire, they had their coins and they would have make out of gold, let me say gold, and they would have a certain weight now. Understand? So they would have been using the money for certain things. But let me say before that, in more ancient time, they would have been on the barter system where, like I have my commodity, like I from Lebanon, so we have cedar wood, and down in Punt, they are the spices and the frankincense and myrrh and thing. So it come like when we come to trade, we will say, okay, well, a certain amount of logs of this wood here would a certain amount of bags your thing or whatever. So it used to be a bartering system. Now that obviously you go have little issues with that because one man might value the same thing more than another man, or might have more use for it than another man. You understand? So that is where to me that where they bring money, because money is it's just a neutral thing that you could convert into other resources or whatever it is, and you could convert the money into physical resources where you need, however,
That's absolutely true, and that's what begs the question.
Hold on, the king.
Because
Hold on. I want to say a thing there too, but I just want to remind. Yeah, I want to say something, but I want to remind the family about Saturday night. Honestly, I really the reasoning in a sense, in doing my job with that part there. It's very important that we keep the family in order with that one day. And then after, I want to say something to the subject before you come in. So,
sure,
yeah.
Speak.
Saturday, the 25th of May. Two faiths, two different perspectives. One origin, Ethiopia. Rasta Adonis, Rabbi, Lion of Judah Society. The faithful of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. A scholarly discourse on the subject. Who is the Lion of Judah of Revelation chapter 5? Get your tickets today. All right, family, of course, definitely for those who are just coming in, we're having a beautiful sit down. We're talking about the Rasta round table even at this moment. Myself, we have, of course, Ras Kwame, King Ankoma Dread, and of course, Ras Iserd. And just reminding the family, of course, remember Saturday evening, the 25th day of May. We see Ras Adonis is not with us tonight. He must be there jumping the skipping ropes and in the gym there, punching them bags, getting ready. Yeah, but I think he really gave me a word earlier that he may have been a little late this evening. So I guess, he got a bit, in whatever, but all blessings to the brother. And I know he's sharpening his sword, man. We're not afraid to say that sharpening sword business. Iron sharpen iron. We want to come correct. So, yes, family, I'm encouraging everyone, remember it's for worthy cause as well. I'm encouraging everyone to get your e-tickets. Just email us, priestIsaacInstitute@gmail.com, priestIsaacInstitute@gmail.com. The brothers from the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, they're very thankful, I'm telling you. Behind the scenes, they're very thankful for the assistance that we're giving, and they're looking forward to Saturday night. They don't know the audience. They're seeing this as a big family over here assisting the Orthodox Church. So let us be. I'm thankful. Let me say, for those of you who would have already contributed, because even if you go on the GoFundMe, you could see the names of even some of the familiar ones that passed through here. So I'm very thankful that ones would have showed up already for the Ethiopian Orthodox Church as it relates to their land. To the subject. So yeah, once again, email us priestIsaacInstitute@gmail.com or visit the website priestIsaacInstitute.com and you will get your ticket for Saturday evening. So with the conversation as it relates to trade, Ras Iserd would have just brought up an interesting outlook there. Again, it brings us back to how we read history. And if we are, I think he would agree. If we are too gullible, we might just swallow anything then. As far as a common trading item or medium of trade, again, I think we have to look at history as we know it. If we want to be reasonable and we're going to check the dates given to us, the last 5,000 years, because we can, we can go off and go on into tens of thousands, but let's stick with the last 5,000 years. Again, you have different time periods, you have different places. What I would say is that if you notice, okay, money was mentioned. For example, Roman money was mentioned, and even when that was said, I was saying in my mind, well, that was the money for the Romans, because even today we still have a bit of that, where the US dollar and maybe one or two other things, even the euro and the pound get problems around here. You can't use no euro and pound in Antigua. People wonder where you going. You understand? So the US dollar, more than maybe anything else, is like the main money here. That is the dollar, really. People call all sort of other stuff dollar, but that is,
It's a currency of trade.
yeah. So
Period. Yeah.
what I'm saying now, so you are looking for that in the ancient time. Again, Ethiopia would have had its coinage too, and Ghana would have had its cowrie shell or CD shell. That's where they get the term CD. I would honestly believe that throughout history as we know it, it was just an understanding, not necessarily a medium. It's hard to say medium, honestly. But I would say that trade as we know it, obviously the process would not have been as fast as it is today.
True.
But it would have still existed. It would have still existed. I'll show you why. Because even my Lord, King Isa, and even in our society, we have a true people that even though times have changed, they still do what they would have seen the old people do. Now, even up to today, I'm sure you go to Sudan and these places, they still have people, packing salt on top of camels and tying down camels, and they're going to be crossing the desert, going to the Nubian desert or wherever they're going to for 40 days and 50 days to go somewhere in Egypt, in some back town where some people with the same kind of mentality waiting to buy all of them salt from them. You understand? Meaning that you could see that's a tradition that's coming from further than just last year. How long ago? It may have gone back at least 100, 200, 300 years. And so to me, the fact that people still exercise that kind of trade today in that primitive way, I believe it would have been done before. That's all I wanted to add to the conversation.
Actually, as I say, in locals, right? And by that I mean, like you say, like in Rome,
Yeah,
they have
very
kind.
good.
We
Very
see
good.
evidence of that in the history. We see them in Ethiopia. We see them all about that they have kind. There's evidence that they have something that they use to trade in these locals. But you see, when you're talking about international trade now, that's a little different.
One thing, quick. What do you think about the Mansa Musa mission and Mansa Musa's report of is it his brother or his father who made the exhibition to the Western world and never came back?
What timeline we looking at here?
What timeline that is on Mansa Musa?
Mansa Musa.
Like what, 1300?
11th century AD, around
Yeah, 1,000.
Let's put something on the table now, as you say.
About 1,000 AD, you said?
Let's say that roughly. Let's rough it up.
And you're saying that Mansa Musa came to the West and never returned? What?
No. Well, I was just rushing it out, but the story. Mansa Musa being the richest man. They said when he went to Hajj, he gave out so much gold that he crashed the economy of places like Egypt and so going through. But
you hear them? You hear them? You hear them talk there, some red.
You read them. But in his account, just quickly, I think it's either his brother, the Mansa before him, would have sailed to the west with a fleet of ships. And I think
Can.
it's either one of the ships returned, something of the sort. That's how he became the Mansa, because his brother or his father never came back. Okay.
Cool. I don't know. I would have a lot of questions. Because when you talk about crashing, they give out too much gold, they crash economies at 1000 AD, right?
But that's accepted stuff, you know. I mean, what the magazine?
Yeah,
the
I know because in the community as scholars and so on,
I think
they
it's
accept
Forbes
stuff.
magazine. You know, I don't like to cut when you talk, but I think it's Forbes magazine highlighted, you know, that Mansa Musa is the richest person ever, and they highlighted that same story. I don't quite.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, you have a community of people and they all vote and things. Let me give you a good example. Look at Sumeria. Right now we have all kind of historical embellishment about Sumeria. But people would not know that there weren't anybody called Sumerians. It's actually Julius Opus, a Jewish scholar, that came up with that name to assign to a set of artifacts that they find historically, but they did not know who these people were. So Julius Opus came up with the idea of calling them Sumerian. And that's how this whole Sumeria story came about. I have the book here, the African who wrote the Bible, with Nana Banchi Dakwa, stating this. Julius Opus, he's the one that come up with that name, like a pseudo. Because they find a set of artifacts and differences, but no sign of the people. They don't know who they were. And they just have to create history. So they came up with that name. And now we have ton of information about Sumeria. Strange stuff. So when I hear these modern terminology, like he gave out so much gold, crash economy. These kind of concepts are a very modern concept about crashing economy. For one, trade was accelerated by an appetite for material. Remember, for years and years, ancient people live in a little shanty. None timber me need for trade to go left, right, and center all over the place to build nothing. Right? These kind of things only start happen when the European and them start to look for draw things from other places of the world that they do not have.
Hey, did you hear that 6:30 tomorrow instead of 5:30? 6:30.
You understand?
Okay?
So, as I say, it's from around the time of slavery mainly that you had the proliferation of trade up to the levels that they know. That ship right now, 24-hour ship will move up and down and move things. You see, so these things are, you know, I don't know. Me can't come and tell you, you know, in no absolute term, that, oh, nothing goes so wherever the story is. But my mind very curious and will ask a lot of questions like that.
I think sometimes all of us is get under the impression that because it's from the old, it was like it kind of, we might get an over exaggeration of how primitive people from the past was then, you know what I mean? Like, because they had money, they had economies, they had hierarchies, it had high class people, low class people. They had people living in big nice places, nice houses and palaces and thing, while it had peasant class people living in huts and whatnot and them kind of thing, you know. So it's not like if it's unthinkable that the people and them had money or had economies, as to say, because you can't, none of them dread monument where it have in Africa, none of them can build just so. It had to have a system of a system of, let me say, like organized labor and people. It wasn't no slave labor who build the pyramids and them things neither too, because there are certain papyrus were documenting how much grains and thing they was getting to like as pay now. You know what I mean? Man, I used to get paid in wheat and things like that back in grains and thing, you know? So
No, well,
That's
as
that
I
to
now
me.
we
That
continue
to
to
me, that's
say,
my point. That's my point to me. That we kind of underestimate the level of sophistication of the ancients and them, and sometimes we might be ourselves guilty of placing what we think the modern vibes be in the past, but nevertheless, underestimating the ancient after they have created like certain ideas, certain groundbreaking ideas, certain kind of innovations to think that what it is, what a simple market, what a simple value in trade, and what a simple socialization and social relation with different people. That's just simple thing to me. You know what I mean? Maybe they might not have had all of the benefit of the modern kind of like transportation to deliver one grand mass goods and services as we have today. But nevertheless, Isaiah have talked about Mansa and the one that came to the West. One of the points that he made that I kind of opened my eyes to was the fact that he sailed with how many ships across the oceans. And, I mean, that is just really modern time, but one can show you that they had the technology for ship building and so on that could facilitate trade to different parts of the world, different parts of geography than just within the national boundaries. So I'm not really but I think a valid point of view, but we just can't underestimate the intelligence and the sophistication of the ancients.
no, I
That makes it.
don't think you guys really get where I'm coming from, because this is no kind of slight on the ancient in terms of intelligence. You really, really have to think about what I'm talking about something very specific. I'm talking about international trade as it is described. And particularly when you're going to refer to BC time, way back, Persia, them kind of speech and so on. When you get into those areas of history, I mean, in a very difficult for you me talk about if you go back and check the progression, you understand, of trade over time coming to where we are now. One of the things that drive trading activity, are demand, supply and demand. What I'm saying, they have a time that people not mean demand material like how they demand material since Europe rise up. They may have gold can done in Egypt and them place. But then they establish skyscrapers and city all across the globe like what the European and them do in this short space of time coming up. You're just about 500 years. You understand? And that is not to say they did not have the knowledge, and the knowledge they did not have. But the appetite for the material wasn't there with the ancient people like that. So trade as we know it, in this massive way, trade, international trade, not yet in a country and you have a system by which you do bartering and move around and get things done. Not that stuff. International trade. Because for there to be international trade in the way it's described in history, they have a huge demand somewhere across the ocean there in some kind of country. That means there's something going on there that is causing this appetite for material. There's something going on. So what I say,
And
even
I
trade
would say
itself
that
go in
something.
tandem.
I would say that something is the population growth. You know what I mean? That drive. I just say that I think that also is a factor that drive innovation. That drives people to see different ways of doing things, of producing other things to satisfy one growing population. I mean, but moreover is what I say. Let's see what I say.
I
It's
just
just that.
I just think that when you have trade like from nation to nation with place like Persia at that kind of scale, it necessitates infrastructure. And a key part of the infrastructure will be a financial system, a medium of exchange, a common value that everybody agree with. You have to have some system like that to officiate the trade. So when I hear ancient stories about trade, especially when they're way back, about trading happen, and it sounds so much like very similar to what we know nowadays. Ship moving, going down to that country, way down in Argentina upon the southern end, back up the, stuff like that. It let me question, okay, so I wonder what kind of value system, money system, and so on they had. Because we have to have that ISK as happen right now. So, it just made me curiously ask these questions like what they had. Is this another historical embellishment?
Well, as I say, no, I believe that you have to look at different time frames.
Yeah, the time very important. That's true.
Yeah, all the time frames cannot be the same. And
True.
history is an interesting thing. It's good that you inquire, yes, but we know that we don't have all the answers at hand. But still, looking at the evidence, okay, when we speak of trade, not only trade, you speak of a demand. Even you mentioned the slave trade to the Atlantic slave trade. Sugar was something in demand somewhere else, differently than where it was produced. Okay, I watching your scheme ideas here. Okay.
Because of the appetite of the Europe. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm gonna make you go. But okay, because what I'm looking at, even while we're speaking, I'm thinking, okay, all right. This is like a Rubik cube the man threw here, and I said, well, let me figure this out. All right. Now, they have pyramids in South America. And I'm just using, there's a term for this here, like rational thinking to come to a conclusion. They have temples in South America too. In fact, if you notice, there are several temples in specific places, even in Europe, and the narrative is that the material that built this temple didn't come from here, or it came from some other place, maybe on the same landmass or the same continent. But the temples in Mesoamerica, wherein the blocks are so well put together. They don't use no mortar, they don't use no cement, and it's almost like a puzzle, like when you put a puzzle together, and these blocks are so well put together. They have temples in Kemet, like in Karnak, and the Temple of Man, that when they compare them to the temples in Mesoamerica, the way the blocks are, the exact shape. I know the item come across this. The exact, so if it's like a row of blocks and they have different shapes, they were designed in the exact same way. the temple of Mana, the temple in Karnak in Kemet, and the temple that you find in Mesoamerica. But now, right away, and then they both may have different dates to when it was built. But right away, that shows they had to have been, that's across the Atlantic Ocean, there had to have been some strong communication and understanding, because just to do that alone takes high engineering skill, enough tutoring, you know what I mean, enough teaching, enough understanding. So there had to have been a good communication between the East and the West, where you could see that design in such a significant monument, or two significant monuments, you could see replicated across the Atlantic Ocean. And that's just evolving in my mind, listening to the conversation, looking for proof that there had to be some strong connection. And that would imply that there was more than just, I know how you build that, let me try it over here. There would have been some level of commerce now, maybe trade when it comes to workers, those who know how to do the job over there, just like we do today. Come over
Are
here.
trading ideas.
Okay, well, at least that for sure. That was my main point. That it had to be a trade in ideas, without a doubt. But then
True.
I am hypothesizing that that could also lead to a trade in skill. Maybe I can't really do it like how you
Yeah,
should.
yeah.
And
That would naturally follow, I would think.
good conversation, man. It make you
Because
think.
I mean, really, when you look at it as you described, it is showing that a certain technology presence,
Right.
a certain technology, and the technology have to come from somewhere and export into other places and so on, and so the thing go.
That
And
is
to
ancient,
me,
it's ancient
the people,
aliens to give that credit to it. So ancient aliens is who get them credit there. I'm sure you just watch them series. So this is why if we don't have them kind of conversation, now it's yeah, man, ancient aliens, man, because and then go with that.
yeah, because man do a tish and man can't come up with such thinking. To me, their ideas they are self-doubt. I don't know.
Yeah.
When alien guy to come and visit me personally, you know what I mean? If you real, just come and visit me.
Yeah, man, I hear you.
Me go in the cemetery, me say, look, Jumbi, if I real and I walk around and I slap people, when I just slap me, make me understand that this is a reality.
I hear you.
I'm still waiting.
I hear you.
You know.
But yeah, man, they have some other concept to cover a lot of these different things, you know.
Yeah.
You know, things that were found in the Western world and different things, and certain things found in certain mummies in Kemet that would have come from the Western world. So I don't know if his argument that he was trying to prove trade, but he was showing a connection. So yeah.
Then I ever notice, right? When the West tell history of Kemet, then we tend to tell them in a way that you kind of get on vibes like the people of Kemet may have similar worldly vibes and thoughts as it relate to sex and then something like happening in modern time.
It's called Egypt.
Like the woman and them may had this Delilah quality. You had people like that, you know, Cleopatra's, and then kind of put that kind of image on it. I might watch them things, they're very suspect. Because what they must seek to do, it may not have been so in reality, but then can put it in your head that way by just representing history in that way. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you buy into concepts that are very Western, really. But it might seem like you give credit to Africa too, like this Mansa Musa. Sometimes I listen to stories they and the personality me attack now. May look on the idea that the person would have had. The idea look very much like how our modern money people think one kind of way. Conquer. Have so much of wealth that you dominate this place and you dominate that place. When in very recent time and now look back in Africa, I'll see places like a Kemet that have wealth and knowledge, the deepest knowledge of human being now. but they never walk around and try conquer everybody place.
Right.
But then they will tell stories about characters claiming that them are Africans and differences. But them show them to be individual that have the same kind of
Mentality.
vibe, like Western conquerors
But let me ask you,
and
even though,
gladiators. Like, you know, they had the same killing mentality and conquer people and, you know.
even
Me
if it's
just
not
watch
a
them thing very
conquering thing,
suspect. I don't know.
even if it's not a conquering thing, you know, see the atmosphere was there. Okay, how they prop Mansa Musa? Maybe it's not black people saying so, you know, it's the whole world. How they prop him up? You're saying that you don't see the environment in his time fertile enough to even produce a man like that. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
It's the portrayal. What I'm looking at is what attribute they give to the characters in these stories. If they start telling me Mansa Musa have a mindset, something like Alexander the Great, I start a red flag that a little bit because the ancient people never think about going nowhere to take when somebody something.
But
They care how wealthy them be, they know me not do that.
King Izana is seen as a serious despot, you know. I know the dreaders study them man there very well. King Izana, some historians have him like a serious killer until he became a Christian. I don't know if that is the play into the Christian narrative, but they say before he was a Christian, he would be just going and slaughtering anybody that don't deal with his rule. King Izana, I know a lot of ones may not even know that. But if you take it,
Yeah, because only Christianity can humanize King Izana and make it behave morally. None of the indigenous spiritual practices in Ethiopia could have done it and make him be a decent human being. So he need to be converted to Christianity in the story in order to now be this person that doesn't kill anymore, but he all holy.
Yeah.
You see, that's how my mind returns to look at that curiously, you know what I mean? Like that, because you see, one of what when I read the Kibonigas, right? It told me that the Queen of Sheba abandoned the sun worship that Ethiopia used to be under to embrace the faith of the true and living God. Okay? In a more recent time when Egyptian knowledge come more mainstream, when me look at that, me see tall. Them people who worship sun, them a build sphinx, them a build pyramids. Them people are come up with theosophical thought that the West actually learned from and used for building whole civilization down here. And they created and intuit all this knowledge worshiping the sun. So then why would the Queen abandon that tradition that yields so much greatness and bountiful culture for subscribe to this Judaism for a place that do not have any fame, not even building, I don't even know what, not even on Abilik. Why would that happen? So for me, mind flip that and say, no, this is a religious propaganda. Because in that story we're actually doing, it is casting shade on the African tradition of sun worship that create the whole Nile Valley civilization. You cast shade on that. And I say that this tradition here that Solomon up in Israel here have is much more valuable than that way that the African created. So you see, I look on it as a European, because the three major religion, Western religion, they say Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. That's their creation. So when we look on literature like that now, we figure, well, what you try to do now? You use this information to make me the African think a kind of way about what I create. And then take yours now and hold that up as the superior thing. You see?
You know, I know that we have a seal up here, but I want to get back to that original. I want to get it good before we
all in order, respect.
Yeah. So as we just mentioned, Ethiopia and justice something I want to catch there. When they say how we're building the Sphinx and all
Yeah.
that I just wanted to be clear so I get it before we seal up.
Yeah, I would say Israel
That-
not known.
No,
for even build
that Israel talking about no more. No. The
Oh.
fact that we could build the
pyramids and things.
Remaket, would we
Yes,
have
I.
to have had a seriously powerful economy?
Yes.
Okay,
And I'll do that to worship sun.
But hold on, no, not that I hear you, but not that part I talk, you know. So now we would develop that powerful economy, trading within
In
our
that
borders
local, yeah.
alone.
Yeah, yeah.
Without
That's
no
what I say.
international.
When I say in local, I can see it is like that. That's one network. The Nile Valley and whole network of civilization. So naturally they have to have some medium that cause them to go about and do what they do. There must be. Every local will have it. I'm just talking about when you start doing nation to nation. Because you now carry 2 bag of this and 2 bag of that from nation to nation.
Right now the planet is a local.
Well, effectively because everything into one big network are like one local.
I follow you, man.
Because our central currency, the currency of trade are the US.
US, without a doubt. All right, my lord. Yes, my lord. We have to look to seal up really, just a quick round the table for everyone.
Live, respect.
Yes, give thanks, man. It's pretty high coming, we extend, you know, trust me. I was wondering where I was. I said that. That's all.
Yeah, man, yield. I man, just give thanks to the program again. Love the reasoning every time because the reasoning always high. Love the idea, man and man really be very objective and very open in the reasoning and very, intellectually honest. You understand? Because intellectual honesty is important. You understand? No trickery in the thing. Just one natural vibes. If you don't know, you don't know. If you're not sure, you're not sure. You understand? And just come through real like that. And hold neutral position when you know you don't have all the information stack up. You stay neutral and open until when he reveal to you in the fullness, So I man give thanks to the reason every time. As I man say, this is a generational work. This is the way I man see this roundtable forum. It's very noteworthy that most of I and I that in the forum are ones that in a certain, generation a kind of way. Well, probably all in it, with the exception Rasta. You seeing? But cipher meditation is of I and I time same way. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it fits. But I man love the idea of that. You know what I mean? In terms of raising the level of reasoning in Rastafari, making it get deeper. You see, the bill must continue. In the name of the king still, So I'm an yielding, as Iodonis would say. I'm an yield on that point, and yeah.
I like that. Yes, Rasquama, you're still flying there, man.
Yes, sir. Just about to take off, but give thanks to the reason and a really good conversation. Just reminding the viewers and the listeners to remember that coming Saturday is going to be a really good conversation. So just log on and get your tickets. And we'll have a really highly program set up for us as Saturday coming. Give thanks for the round table again and blessings.
There's guidance, again, through the wings of the wind. Yeah. King Jet and
Give thanks again for another great program in the Rasta Roundtable. I beg my pardon for coming in a little late and thing. In terms of the discussion will take place Saturday, I think it's going to be very important. And it's going to be very, how I could say, very high level then, because what's going on take place there, well, obviously the brothers from the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, they would know their doctrine and they would have a draft and thing, the Ethiopian tradition and whatnot. But Ras Ayadonis is a he come like a very noteworthy Rastafari. He not come like a Rasta over for the street corner then, you understand? Because with Rasta doing this, he has a studying and linguistics and them kind of vibes. Going and come down to theological, to like a theological explanations, then people do different theological explanations, or within the keyword context or concept then, you know. So then, yeah, so because normally, well, as a Rasta, all Rasta would know, normally people who is baptized in Ethiopian Orthodox Church or congregation members, at least I would say, normally condescend to the Rastafari in a way like a Rasta not really understand the or it come like Rasta is supposed to convert to Ethiopian Orthodox tradition. Most Orthodox, that is the position they would hold, you know. But it come like usually they say not from the impression like if the Rastas unaware or unlearned in the Ethiopian Orthodox traditions, you know what I'm saying? So I think this reasoning gonna be hot because Rasta Adonis, he's very steeped in Judeo-Christian paradigm as well. So it's not like if it's Ras Isun going up against the Ethiopian or you understand what I'm saying? So
yeah, true. He fit in for the role.
yeah, so so in the advertisement what precise I create they say two faiths, but there's almost that kind of strong because they come like as one faith because Ras Ayadon and Stafari Gunan, he hold that Haile Selassie is Christ in kingly character, Jesus Christus, them, you understand? So it going on be a heated it could be airy, you know, we're going to get some opinions coming out and certain things going on come forward in the reasoning. I anticipate it highly. The one thing is, what time it is precise?
7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. They don't know every man go get the link. No worries. 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock in the evening. Well, right. So, well, I might still have to be up in the bingy grounds because, you know, they go thing, but I go make sure and tune in still.
Yeah, and you're gonna get the recording, you know, once a person come in, once you're there, you're gonna get a recording. However you get there, you're gonna get
but I have to be there live and live in time, man, real time. Time I want to see no replay. So give thanks again, Rastafari. Hopefully next round table I will come in on time and we could get into what we just get into, man. Yeah, respect.
Yeah. But I love the vibes you touched just now and Como concerning the reason coming up and Saturday. I really have a touch of weight on that because one of the things I think that I need to do, and this might just be the beginning of it in a public way kind of way, is really distinguish ourselves doctrinally from these other entities. You understand? We don't necessarily have to align with definition of things and all the rest of it as the Ethiopia Orthodox Church, notwithstanding His Majesty was a member of it. I man just see Rastafari as something different, and we have our own unique symbols and different things like that, you understand, than the Orthodox Church. I don't hear the Orthodox and them run around and say bonfire upon Babylon. That's a Rasta thing. But it is well justified when you go and read a metaphysical Bible dictionary what that fire burning from Babylon about. Because the Bible dictionary show you that Babylon is an aggregation of thoughts, our certain consciousness. You understand? Our one value system in thought. You understand? So, and that's the kind of essence that Rastafari bring out. I don't hear Orthodox walk around and do these things. So we have to recognize that we really distinct and different and be able to stand with our difference rather than feel like we need to right ourselves by aligning with the Orthodox simply because, well, they're from Ethiopia and His Majesty is a part of is defender of the faith and such. We have to recognize our unique difference and value it, you know. Rastafari.
I know we're wrapping up precise, but I just want to bring the remembrance of all and I, even our cipher, he like to bring up that even within the body of the church, they just have theological differences and different groups and camps as well. You know what I mean? In fact, with the same name, when we was on the Arias reasoning and we was talking about the different Christologies and these kind of things and things, yeah, it have them kind of different little separations and things like that going on as well, you know. So yeah, man, give thanks. Yeah, we go sight up Saturday.
Yeah, man.
Rastafari.
That's why King Cypher was with the even next previous day with the brethren. As I say, you know, more to come, you know, more to come, and the round table have different specialities in here, you know.
Rastafari, for real.
Yeah,
For real.
not an easy
For
team
real.
to play with. So give thanks. Yes, my Lord and Majesty, I'm gonna seal off with, of course, reminding everyone of Saturday evening again. And yes, still give thanks, you know, for the love and everyone coming in this evening. But we're looking for ones to come in on Saturday. And of course, you know, although we're talking about the Lion of Judah is the Tiger's Temple really stepping into. And yes, we are still showing love to the brothers and sisters of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, and we are assisting them even in this venture where proceeds from this will be going towards them acquiring their land. So yes, my Lord and my Lord, give thanks until royal family, Rastafari, bless you, Lord. Bless you, Lord. Give thanks. Right. Saturday, the 25th of May. Two faiths, two different perspectives. One origin, Ethiopia. Ras I Adonis, Rabbi, Lion of Judah Society. The faithful of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. A scholarly discourse on the subject. Who is the Lion of Judah of Revelation chapter 5? Get your tickets today.